Well, my name is Paul Hoefker. I'm a veteran of the Korea War. I've been in the Army, starts again about 1951, when I was stationed in Fitzsimmons Army Hospital in Denver in the pharmacy. My girlfriend was also there at the same time. About the 1st of November 1951, we both got orders to leave. I was going to Korea and she went to Okinawa. So on November 17th, we decided to get married. So now we've been married 69 years. Okay, I left out of Seattle about the middle of December 1951. With a brief stop in Yokohama, Japan, I arrived in Korea about midnight in Incheon in 1952. That's when I first discovered how cold it was in Korea. I don't remember how many people were on that ship, but there was a lot. We gathered on the beach. It was dark and really cold. We picked up warm clothes in Japan, but not boots. And my feet were really frozen by then, as well as everybody else. Eventually we got on a train, and the train took us to Chuncheon, which is a replacement depot for the 2nd Division. And that's when I knew I joined the 2nd. Since I had pharmacy training, I joined the 2nd Medical Battalion, which I thought I would be a pharmacist. Well, there's no need for pharmacists there, so they gave me an aid bag, made me a combat medic. Well, when I finally got into the 2nd Medical Battalion rear, I was reassigned to an ambulance company. And that's when I really started my career in Korea. I served with this ambulance company supporting the 23rd Infantry Division. I don't remember what, there were several ambulances assigned to that regiment, and I don't remember exactly which one I was assigned to. But I have a picture here if you'd like to see it. So I was with the 23rd Infantry as an ambulance driver until about August or September of 1952 when I became a sergeant and I became in charge of the platoon. Truman was the president when the war first started, and he declared it as a police action, not a war, because he couldn't declare a war without the Congress approval. But it was still a war any way you looked at it. Now, he didn't get MacArthur involved till 5 days after the war started, when he sent troops into Korea. The North Korean army invaded Korea about the 25th of June. They were well trained by the Russian army. They were well-trained troops, and they had a lot of good equipment, tanks, and a lot of equipment that South Koreans did not have. South Korean army was not well maintained. MacArthur was governor of Japan, and he had a peacetime army over there. They weren't ready for combat either. So the North Korean army, they swept down Korea. Almost took the whole country. But by that time, MacArthur sent troops over from Japan, and they maintained the perimeter around Busan, which they held. The North Korean army just couldn't get all the way down there. I think it was about September when MacArthur decided he was going to have a landing at Incheon, which a lot of the generals disagreed with, but he went through anyway. And I guess it was, after all, it was a brilliant move because they came through Incheon. They swept through Seoul and really cut off that North Korean army from the south. So that really changed things. But about that time, MacArthur decided he was going to take all of Korea. So then the Marines and the Army advanced up into North Korea, almost to the Yellow River. And that's when the Chinese got involved. They had like 300,000 troops on the Yellow River, compared to about 70,000 American troops. So 100,000, in November, 100,000 Chinese came across that line, across the Yellow River, and trapped the Marines and the Army there at the Chosin Reservoir. And that's when we really know the cold. It was like 30, 40 below zero there. And there was a lot of casualties just from freezing, a lot of frozen feet and so forth. But the Chinese weren't any better equipped than we were. So there are a lot of them. So for the 7,000 we lost there, they probably lost 100,000. It was, the Chinese were just overpowering. But the Marines and the Army finally got out of there. And the North Koreans came back down then. They retook Seoul. But that's, the 2nd Division really got involved. And they pushed the rest of 1952 was more of a just a standing position. We're just in defense of what we had. But there was a lot of battles fought in 52 also, but not near as bad in 1951. That's when Heartbreak Ridge and so forth was really terrible. The summertime was, I was at the foot of Old Baldy in the aid station there, and it was raining cats and dogs. It was probably worse in the summertime because that Old Baldy was just a hill that had been blasted so many times that there's just no trees standing anymore. It was a ball mountain. The Chinese were on one side of the hill and we were on the other. And they would fire their mortars over top of the hill and land on our troops, and we'd fire back at them. Like I said, boy, that Korean and Chinese army was really well prepared. Stalin really made sure that he wanted to control all of Korea, and at the time he wanted to be a communist country. And we were just determined not to. So President Eisenhower came aboard about that time, and he was a combat veteran, so he really knew what was going on compared to what Truman did. So he made a lot of important decisions there. Although, like I say, there was battles in 52. Everybody seemed to want the high ground all the time. And I tell you, that Old Baldy is something you don't forget. In April of 1953, went from Korea to Japan, boarded another ship there, and was on my way back to the United States. I went underneath the Golden Gate Bridge about the last of April of 1953. And that was about my idea of the Korea War. Like I say, it started out a police action, but it was actually a war to me. Nothing never ends over there. That was the war. I think we never did really win the war. We just stopped the action. Thank you.